4 adults and 3 kids for 5 dinners. Okay, it ended up being $44 because I had to make some substitutions. First meal is going to be spaghetti with meatballs and French bread. Next, we're gonna have red beans and rice with bell peppers, onions, and smoked sausage. For this one, we're making a potato soup. I will also be using some of the onion from this meal and some of the meatballs and the sausage from the other 2 meals. For this meal, we will use some of the chicken nuggets. We'll be using this for a sauce that goes on top. We'll be having also with it roasted potatoes and carrots. I will also be using some of the spaghetti. And for the last meal, it's going to be a Cajun chicken pasta. Use some more of those chicken nuggets, and we're also going to use some of the bell peppers from the other meal. Me, my husband, and my parents, and then our 3 kids. They don't eat very much though, so head over to part 2. This is meal 1 in the $40 dinner week. This is spaghetti and meatballs, but we are not using a traditional jar of spaghetti sauce. This is going to make a massive amount of spaghetti, and so it is actually going to be cheaper to use 1 can of tomato paste and then put 4 cups of water. I season it with the traditional salt, pepper, oregano, and basil, and then I also put about a tablespoon of brown sugar. We are using frozen meatballs. However, the key to this is to cut them up really small because they will stretch so much further. You want to make sure that when you cooked your pasta that you did add a lot of salt to the water. You are not going to strain the water. You're going to take the noodles straight from one pot into the other. And that salted pasta water really helps with the flavor and the texture of the spaghetti sauce. This makes a ton of spaghetti. There is enough easily to feed 6 to 8 adults. The ingredients will be right here at the end so that you can take a screenshot. Come back tomorrow night for meal 2. Okay, welcome to meal number 2 for our $40 week series. Tonight we are having red beans and rice. If your kids don't like peppers, you do not have to use them. You could use any vegetable you like. This meal was also $6.25, and it is feeding myself, my husband, my mom, my dad, and my 3 kids. I use this veggie chopper for all of my chopping. I'm using 2/3 of this sausage because the other 1/3 will be added into a different meal later this week. This meal is one of our favorites. We're going to start by sauteing the veggies, cook them down really well. I also add about a tablespoon of garlic, and I wish you could smell this because it smells so good. Then you're going to toss in your sausage and again cook that for a few minutes. Season it really well. And next you're going to add in your rice. This is 2.5 cups of rice and 4 cups of water. This is 10 servings of rice. I tossed in 1 tomato bouillon and then add the beans, and we're going to bring that up to a boil. You let that simmer for about 15 minutes until the rice is all the way cooked. How much we had left over, which is a ton, and some of us had seconds. This is chicken and herb pasta, and this is the 4th meal in the $40 dinner week. If you missed the other videos, you can go back to my page and check it out. This is a series that we're kind of just doing for fun to see if we can feed my entire family for 5 dinners with $40. All of the ingredients will be listed at the end, so you can take a screenshot. This is meant to be like an extreme budgeting type of challenge for whoever might need it. Of course, if you are not on a strict budget, you can make this same recipe with other ingredients. You can add more vegetables. You could use a different type of chicken if you want. But if you're going off of the strict meal plan of $40 for the week, this is the recipe. So for the sauce, it's a can of chicken and herb soup plus 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 cups of milk, garlic, and then some seasonings, and I also add in 12 ounces of peas. Mix that in with your 1 pound of pasta, and this is making a lot of pasta. We use the chicken nuggets because it's the most cost effective, but again, you can use whatever kind of chicken you want. This meal fed 4 adults and 3 small kids, and you could see that there was a lot left over. This is one of my most viral series on TikTok, and it is $40 for 5 dinners. And with these meals, I am feeding 4 adults and 3 kids. If you haven't seen the other videos, you can go back. They're on my page. It starts with the grocery haul, and then I'm doing a recipe every single night. This recipe in particular, people have really loved, and it is a chowder. It's really simple, it's really cheap, and it makes a ton of food. You will have so many leftovers. One of the really important parts of this recipe is to dice everything up really small and equal in size. I have a veggie chopper that I use to dice everything up, but you don't need to use a veggie chopper. You can dice it up by hand. I just cut them into about 1/2 inch size pieces. This is also something you could toss into the slow cooker for the day if you didn't want to just cook it over the stovetop. But you've been warned, this is a ton of food, so it may not even all fit into one single crock pot. We like to serve this with French bread or sourdough bread, but it would also be great in a bread bowl. This Cajun-inspired chicken pasta was $7.50, and it fed 6 people, and we had leftovers. You start by dicing up 1 yellow bell pepper, add it to a pan with oil, and 1 can of corn, plus about a tablespoon of garlic. We are using golden mushroom soup, and 1 cup of milk, plus about a tablespoon or 2 of butter. You'll add in some chicken bouillon and also tomato bouillon, and don't worry, all of these ingredients will be listed at the very end of this video. Add some Cajun seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of paprika, and bring that to a simmer. We use bow tie pasta for this recipe, and I personally feel like that's the best kind of noodle for this recipe. But really, you can use whatever kind of noodles you have. And we take it straight from the pot into the sauce. And the chicken in this recipe is actually chicken nuggets, and we are air frying them and then dicing them up into little pieces. A lot of people hate that I use chicken nuggets, but I actually love it in this recipe. If you don't want to use chicken nuggets, use whatever kind of chicken you like. My youngest ate 2 bowls of this because he really loved it. This meal fed 4 adults and then my 2 small kids, and we still had plenty left over. Here are the ingredients so you can take a screenshot.